We've been talking a lot about Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota ever since Kamala Harris selected Walz to be her running mate the other day, a choice that Zach and I celebrated incredibly enthusiastically. I think Tim Walz is the best governor in the entire country and probably the most progressive governor. So not only is he progressive, but he's also incredibly effective. He's very popular, and he's really a populist, quite frankly, which makes him a great running mate for Kamala and a great sort of new face for the Democratic Party, as far as I'm concerned, as far as policy goes, and just vibes. The dude is incredibly appealing on a personal level too. So yeah, I've been paying a lot of attention to the various ways that right-wingers, conservatives, and MAGA supporters are trying to characterize, smear, and define Tim Walz specifically, because obviously they have their whole playbook ready to go against Kamala Harris. But Tim Walz is a newcomer. Most Americans don't know much about him, if anything at all, right? So Republicans are throwing everything they can at the wall, desperately trying to make something or anything stick against this guy. And so far, they've had a pretty poor time coming up with good lines of attack. It's been pathetic, to be quite frank.
But anyway, Gavin, do you want to get into this Joe Rogan clip?
Yeah, let's take a look at this, guys. You are all going to enjoy this immensely. Watch for the cope. Watch for the mauled. It's glorious. Also, make sure to smash that like button, guys, before we take a look at this video. Make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you're just tuning in for the first time to the Vanguard, welcome to the show. We're having a lot of fun breaking down this horse race, and things are getting more and more delicious as far as the right-wing tears that have begun to flow.
What is with... Is there any way to you that we're not being gaslit like to hell by Kamala Harris?
In what way?
Like, wasn't she like a joke even among Democrats? Like 10 seconds ago? Like literally, like a day ago.
Yep.
And now it's like the country's rallying around.
I know.
Like,
yeah.
What?
Bro, Gavin, do you remember 2016? It was crazy. Wasn't Donald Trump a joke to the whole country, and then he became president of the United States? Funny how vibes work in this democracy.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
even...
we're so easily manipulated, and they're all doing it in lockstep. Yeah, no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. She was she polled as the least popular vice president of all time.
Yeah.
She is, you know, I had dinner with a friend of mine recently who actually knows her. He says she's very smart, but when she gets in front of a camera, she locks up, and she's just not good at communicating.
That has not been true since she took the nomination for presidency, or the presumptive nomination. Obviously, it'll be cemented at the DNC, but there's nobody poised to challenge her. She has enough delegates, yada, yada, yada. She's the presumptive nominee. And boy, has that added some wind to her wings, man. She has developed so much confidence on the microphone. She owns the room. And guys, I'm saying this with my neutral politics observer hat on. It doesn't matter what I think of what she's saying. She's saying nothing. Okay. But when she says nothing, the people cheer. When Donald Trump goes up there in Atlanta and he throws shots at the governor who didn't help him steal the election, and he makes a bunch of sad jokes about how, oh my gosh, they let us down here in Georgia, terrible state, miserable state, Georgia. Yeah, people sigh and groan, and they're like, okay, when's it going to be over, right? Like, and then he just starts chanting drill, baby, drill, and the people are looking around all confused. Like, it's not 2004 anymore, dude. That's not a line people say. But to Trump's geriatric, decrepit mind, it is.
Yep.
And she tries to go off script, and she, whenever you're talking in front of a large group of people, there's a bizarre stress and pressure that really constricts your ability to communicate.
I'm aware.
Yeah.
As of the last few minutes.
Yeah, it's weird. And this is just you and me, right? This is just you and me. And now imagine you and me, but we're in front of 15,000 people that are hanging on our every word, and you're kind of freeballing, and maybe you really haven't even done the research. Like, someone's asking you how you're going to fix the economy, you right? And then you have some the problem is everybody needs money because the bills, and we're working.
This is what dumb people think running for office is like. Well, somebody's going to ask you about the economy, and you're just not going to know. You've spent the last 15, 20 years in elected office. Oh, I don't know. The economy, man. People need money. Boy, this is some robust analysis.
Joe's like, that's what I do on my show every day. I pretend to know what I'm talking about and ramble at length, improvising talking points that kind of make me sound smart. But yeah, also the funny thing about this line from Joe Rogan, we've heard it before. We reacted to it in the last Rogan clip that we did, and I'm already hearing it echoed across all of right-wing media. This hilarious line, which within is a hilarious self-own, a crazy admission. Kamala sucks. She's so bad. She was the worst vice president in American history. She's so unpopular. She can't even get through a sentence. She's terrible on TV. Yet, our guy is getting whooped by her. How come that is? If she's so bad, if she sucks so much, if the people reject her and hate her to the extent that you're trying to make us believe that they have and that they do, then why is Donald Trump having such an impossible time figuring out how to attack her, figuring out how to counter the swell of attention and media? Because if you're so convinced that it's all just the gaslighting from corporate news and stuff like that, well, guess what? Trump can overcome that pretty easily. That was his whole claim to fame in 2016. Corporate media was stacked against him. They were all in for Hillary, and he played the shtick of the populist everyman running against the establishment, and he actually won. That's kind of the whole
unlimited free media, by the way.
Yeah, with unlimited free media by constantly triggering everyone. So this is the playbook Donald Trump is supposed to thrive in the best and the most. It's how he originally rose in political in Republican Party politics in the first place, going back to 2016. This is how it's always been. That's kind of Trump's whole point, is that the media is bad and the media is the establishment and I'm the populist everyman. Well, that's not working so well anymore. And now all they can do is whine about how excited people are and how enthusiastic the American
and how this
voting
would have never
electorate is.
happened if they would have stolen the election for him.
Yep, exactly.
Looking on that. Like what?
Well, and you can, that's so obvious when, with the passage of time is significant and the significance of the passage of time is significant because of the passage of time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's someone who is basically like a kid in the 5th grade who's writing a book report, but they haven't read the book.
That's every time I see her on camera, that's all I can think is that she's the.
So you're saying that Trump can't beat a 5th grader? Literally, he's not smarter than a 5th grader. That's what you're telling your right-wing audience, Joe, that their guy, King Donald Trump, is less smart than a 5th grader and completely unable to beat a 5th grader. Wow.
Kid who didn't do her homework.
Right.
Because she just has that vibe. Did you see the clip of her talking about how dare we wish Merry Christmas to people?
No.
Yeah, she does this bizarre rant about how we shouldn't be wishing Merry Christmas to anyone.
Is this when she was a senator?
I don't know. It's recent.
It's recent.
Yeah.
Really?
It's so strange that
there's no way
that
this
was
is
her,
recent.
that's the only time I've seen her passionate about anything on camera.
Come on, really?
Yeah,
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, no,
I've seen the one she was telling that people need to be woke. Everyone needs to be more woke.
Oh,
you should
yeah.
be more woke. You should figure out who's the wokest and try to be the wokest, but you should, whatever.
There's literally a clip of Donald Trump talking about how we need to, shred the Constitution. What did he say? Put the Constitution on hold or something?
Put the Constitution on hold.
Yeah.
That's the quote.
That's literally a Donald Trump quote. And you're over here pearl clutching about a clip where Kamala says something about being woke. Like, this is literally the level of discourse on the right. And these gotchas are not gotchas. No one cares about
It's
this
the
stuff.
same way that it worked on Donald Trump in 2016. The gotchas with him didn't work because they just found Hillary to be so repulsive. They found Hillary to be so unlikable. There were so many people who were so pissed off and triggered that they just were not going to support the Democratic Party no matter what after what happened to Bernie Sanders, after the Podesta emails. They were like, absolutely not. You took the best option to beat Donald Trump and you threw him away and you cheated him. And now, you know what? Reap what you sow. Give the world. That perfect storm was what elevated Donald Trump. And it's so important that we remember that even in that perfect storm, the man lost the popular vote. Okay, he's never been a powerhouse.
Why don't you be more woke? And she's like laughing. It's like, what the fuck?
And when we all sing happy tunes and sing Merry Christmas and wish each other Merry Christmas, these children are not going to have a Merry Christmas. How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
Okay, so clearly she's not saying that the phrase Merry Christmas is problematic. She's like talking about some people or kids or something that maybe are, I don't know who she's talking about, but clearly she's talking about people that aren't going to have the privilege to enjoy a Merry Christmas. So she's making a point. She's not saying that the phrase Merry Christmas is like inherently racist or problematic or something.
Who the heck is this guy they invited on the Joe Rogan Experience? Obviously, he has to be humiliated right now because he's going to be like, oh, I guess that was extremely out of context. Obviously so.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Dude, this is the most
She invoked
boomer
Greta
shit.
Thunberg a little bit there.
Oh, that's so nutty.
Yeah.
How dare we?
How dare we? How dare you?
Yeah, no, we're definitely being gaslit.
Yeah.
And not only that, here's the big one, right? She wasn't elected, right? She was
Joe Rogan is a grown man who doesn't know that you vote for the vice president when you vote for the president. That's embarrassing. That's another humiliating L. He's like, oh, well, it was called Bush Cheney, but nobody ever voted for Dick Cheney. Or, oh, it was Obama Biden, but nobody ever voted for Joe Biden. Joe Biden, he was just a senator, but he never won any other.
Yeah.
What kind of argument is that? It's just ahistorical.
And also, guess what? November is coming up. The people are going to have the chance to reject Kamala Harris if they decide to. Like, they voted for Biden Harris, but Kamala Harris is not currently the president of the United States. She's the presumptive nominee. How democracy works is then in November on election day, people will decide, Joe, whether or not to vote for her. This is just such idiot. He knows what he's doing. He knows he's just being like intentionally dense. He's stupid, but he's not this stupid.
Nope.
appointed vice president, and then they didn't do primaries. They had no primaries for Joe Biden, and now all of a sudden she is the nominee because he's stepping away. And so then they bring in her, and they bring in this other guy who's radical from Minnesota. That's the vice president.
Who's radical? Bro, come on, Joe. You've supported Bernie Sanders 4 years ago. Drop the act.
Yeah.
Who he believes a lot of wild things. One of them is transgender surgery for people who are under 13. Another one is abortion up until 9 months.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You know what, Gavin and I, we want to break the news to everybody that not only do we want to legalize abortion, we're coming for everybody under the age of 5. You know what? They're going straight in the wood chipper if you elect the Democrats. I'm sorry. We were in on the behind the scenes call that was leaked, Gavin, and it's one of their plans for population control. Everybody who hasn't already had their first day of kindergarten, so it's kind of by age, but it's also by aptitude. You know, we want the best and brightest of the, you know, youngest crop to make it through. Everybody else, unfortunately, going straight into the wood chipper.
Obviously, there's reasons why people medically would, like, if the woman's life is in danger, if the child has something wrong, it's not going to live. There's reasons why they choose to do things like that.
Thank you, Joe. Really appreciate that. That's why it should be allowed.
But that stuff scares the fuck out of people. He changed the Minnesota state flag to make it look like a Somali flag. Yeah.
Oh.
You haven't seen that?
Oh, yeah, bro. This is crazy, bro. After Mogadishu, he was like, I know it's a real political winner in Minnesota.
No.
Yeah. Show that video. So the video of him taking down the Minnesota flag, and he replaced it with the new flag that looks a lot like the Somali flag.
Wow.
Minnesota's a huge population.
Didn't they have, like, the people of Minnesota all submit different designs for that flag when they changed it, Gavin?
I'm not exactly sure how they decided which design to change it to, but yeah, they did update the Minnesota flag. They made it look pretty good, in my opinion. I don't know what it looked like before, but I don't think there was all that much backlash from anyone other than total crazy nut job right wingers when it happened. And yeah, Minnesotans voted for that flag. It wasn't Walz's decision. And also, it doesn't even look like the freaking Somali flag. This is just a straight up racist talking point. Like, I mean, I guess some of the colors are kind of similar, but I mean, first of all, even if it did look like the Somali flag, who cares? This is just
Ilhan Omar's taking over
This
Minnesota.
is just a mask off moment where you're exposing yourself to be a massive bigot and a right winger. But yeah, that's not even true. It's a total myth. And as someone in chat pointed out, the people of Minnesota voted for that design. This is such a stupid line of attack against Tim Walz because the dude has been governor of Minnesota now for a while. And it's not like Minnesota is considered some like super far left state. You ask your average American and they're going to think of Minnesota as being like a purple state or a rural state, non-liberal elitist state. It's a Midwestern state full of like farmers and working class kind of people. No one thinks about Minnesota in this way, that it's a refuge for like radical liberal ideology, in the same way that some people think of like Florida, for example, as like a refuge for right-wing ideology. Florida has really leaned into that. California, to some extent, on the other side of the spectrum, has leaned into their liberal values. And people obviously associate the state of California with left-wing and liberal progressive values. That's not the case about Minnesota. You're not going to scare people out of voting for Harris and Walz by saying, oh, you don't want to make America into Minnesota. Like, people don't have any problem with Minnesota. People don't think of it as the capital of Antifa or left-wing ideology. They think of it as a totally normal state, a totally American state. And by the way, apparently it's doing really well. The people in Minnesota report to be the third happiest in the entire country. It's the fifth best state for business, supposedly, which totally undermines this talking point about Tim Walz being a socialist or whatever. So it's totally stupid.
Also, the people reelected him.
And the people reelected him. Yeah. So it's completely dumb, and just immediately jumping to culture war talking points is not going to win this election at all. It's completely pathetic.
Yep, absolutely. And it's all they have left. They don't have any options. They can't attack the guy on anything else.
Isn't it?
Well, isn't what's her face?
Yes.
Yeah, Omar.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what it is. Oh, that's what. Oh, he changed it. The people changed it because Ilhan Omar and the Somalis have taken over Minnesota. Oh,
But there's a video of him doing it.
Man,
Well, okay, well, let's see the video. But they did change the Minnesota state flag, correct?
sometimes
I don't
the
even know
false.
if what he's saying is true either.
The-
That's
Yeah.
the other funny thing. Like, he is talking about something that happened with the flag, but he's like halfway through his talking point. And he's like, that is real, right? That wasn't just some like total piece of fucking fake news that I saw on X while I was scrolling on the toilet yesterday, right? Huh? You should check that out, right? Like, he doesn't even know what the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah, we'll all be speaking Somali by 2030, Gavin. Watch out.
Yeah, that's the problem with like fact checkers. Some of these fact checkers are completely full of shit.
They are.
Like, you're just trying to debunk something, especially now when there's all this scrutiny being paid attention to what this guy's done.
Yeah.
What have you? What's the
Well, next
the
talking
false
point.
stuff, Jamie? It's not the flag itself, correct?
I mean, I typed in. I was just trying to even get to it. A whole bunch of stories are popping up. I'll just show you this. Like, no, we didn't give them a
This is how they control the narrative, everybody. They won't show you the Minnesota flag with Somali origin story.
Somali flag. No, we didn't change
No,
it to
it's-
resemble Somali. False Somali.
But
state
what does
flag.
it look? Okay, but what does it look like
That's
now?
what I was trying to get to.
Okay, on the left is Somali flag. On the right is the Minnesota state flag. Okay, same color as the Somali flag, a white
It looks
star,
even
a
less
different
like
white
it than
star.
I thought. I honestly thought it looked more like the Somali flag, but there's literally just that's not even the same shade of blue. One has a star, and then the other one clearly has like a sun or something. These are not that similar. Come on, this is just straight up racism, bro. Straight up mask off bigotry. This is the weakest, most pathetic possible line of attack. Even the stolen valor thing, which is completely pathetic, disgusting, disrespectful to veterans, and inaccurate. At least there's some logic to that one. At least there's some, sort of an attempt at a gotcha. This just pathetic, disgusting racism.
100%. And they could even just come out and make the dumb argument that actually we're one of 50 states, one of 50 stars on the flag. And we just thought, hell yeah, let's just cut to the chase and be one star on the flag. You know what I mean? You could even spin it as like a patriotic thing just as
Right.
easy as Joe Rogan's trying to spin it as a Somali thing. And you would actually have a better argument. So, I mean, yeah, of course, it's fear mongering about Ilhan Omar. It's fear mongering about a rising Arab population and a rising African population in Minnesota, and the fact that the people of Minnesota have been thriving despite that. Go figure.
Fucking Tim Walz should just lean into this and be like, we're going to replace the American flag with a giant Navajo blanket or something, and be like, screw all you fucking moronic right wingers. Just lean into it.
I don't think it could hurt him at this point. Like I said, I think Tim Walz, he's riding the momentum. He's surfing the waves.
Like the Somali flag, very different than the original Minnesota flag. And there's the video down below that. And that's when he changes it out. So he takes out the Minnesota state flag. Oh, hold on a second. Wait a minute. Turn the volume up, please, so you hear him say that.
All right, ready. Whoa, wait a minute.
So he gets the flag, picks it up, moves it out of the way.
Why are Republicans so horny about flags, dude? It's a flag. Do you get this way about jerseys when your team changes a jersey? Like, oh, I don't know if I can go to the Royals game tonight. They might be in their classic blue. I like it in the Crown Royal colors, Gavin. This is going to be a big deal for me. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's just a literal piece of fabric.
Yeah, and also it looks like the Minnesota flag was one of those really boring ones where it's just the standard navy blue and then the state seal in the middle. That's like every generic looking state flag. No wonder they wanted to switch it out for something fresh and, you know, a little bit more bold, even just for the sake of their like tourism department, you know, just from like a business perspective and a capitalist perspective. They want to brand their Minnesota tourism websites with these exciting new colors. They want to brand their various state capitals with these flags and iconography. They want to have their own little unique aesthetic. And of course they're going to change the flag and update it from that boring ass old blue one with the state seal on it. Who cares?
100%. I remember when I was in whatever, 3rd grade, 4th grade, you do Kansas Day and everybody has to do a cross stitch of the Kansas flag with the Kansas state seal. And I was like, this is lame as shit. I would have been so much more excited if they were like, guys, everybody draw your own design for what you'd like to see on the Minnesota flag. And then we're going to have the people of Minnesota vote for it and decide, you know, who gets to do it. That sounds like America. That sounds like democracy. You know, it doesn't sound like democracy. We did the flag this way 200 years ago, and it's never changing.
Yeah, also the American flag has literally been updated like 17 times. So
that's true.
There you go.
And there's also that fake story about how the woman that designed it maybe didn't actually design it. Anyway, that's a Rogan conspiracy for you.
This is it. Look at this.
There, that's better.
Is it?
Why is that better?
I don't know.
Why do you care what the flag looks like, first of all?
Why do you
And
care?
Bro, you don't even live in Minnesota. What the heck?
You're the one that literally cares. They were just changing it. He literally posted that video publicly, changing the flag, and then Joe Rogan plays it like it's a secret gotcha and says, why do you care so much about the flag? As he hyper fixates and obsesses on it.
Why do you get to change the flag? How crazy is that the governor gets to change the flag? Like, who else
The people voted on it, Joe, you idiot.
is involved in that decision to change the flag?
Just gonna ask, is that what happened?
I don't know.
Usually it's a big event. They let people pick, you know. There's
Right. Now, we
voting
have a
on
bunch
it,
of people
voting on
that's
it.
a high population of Somalis in your state. I would imagine they would want to try to get that flag a little closer to home.
What the hell is the matter with you, dude? That's crazy. You think there's enough Somalis and they're all conspiring against the people of Minnesota to change the flag to make it slightly more like home? What the hell is going on in your knucklehead brain?
Yeah. The worst incident of fact checking was the quid pro quo Joe clip, where Biden brags about that time that he withheld $1 billion of aid to Ukraine
So they fire a prosecutor.
to fire a prosecutor that we now know his son worked for.
Mm-hmm.
And if you type that in, Snopes or whatever would tell you just like, oh, that didn't happen. Biden, there was no quid pro quo, and Biden didn't want the prosecutor fired. That is because he didn't know that his son worked for Burisma at the time. And
These guys will then turn around and tell you that we have to vote for Donald Trump because the libs are getting too crazy. Meanwhile, their only estranged criticisms of the Democratic Party are family-related corruption. You ever heard of Jared Kushner? You ever heard of Ivanka Trump?
Right.
it's like how can you just say that's fake? And like it's scary to me that people will read that and be like, "Oh, it's fake." It's like,
Yeah.
no, look at it, like with your eyes.
Yeah, fact checkers are fucking dangerous, and it's really, I mean, what you're seeing is kind of treason.
That's
It's kind of what it is. If you're seeing that kind of fact checking, you're lying. You're lying, and you're
This man says about 100 things that aren't true every week.
intentionally misrepresenting facts, and you're doing so because you want a specific result politically,
right.
and it should be illegal.
I agree.
Especially if people think of you as a fact checker. You know,
Bro,
and what does that mean?
If it
What does
weren't for fact checkers, every single thing that came out of your mouth would be wrong. Like, fact checkers are the only thing saving the show. Thanks to your freaking dude in the background, Jamie, who pulls up the truth every time you utter some ridiculous falsehood. That's the only thing keeping the show going. What are you talking about? It's treason.
mean to be a fact checker. But the problem with facts is a lot of them are very subjective. And you can find one small inconsistency or one, you could phrase a question in a certain way and have your answer false in a different way because you're just finding some nitpicky way to look at things. I've seen a lot of that.
Yeah, it's an alternative fact, Joe.
To the point where you're like, that's not fact checked at all. You guys just fucking, you're gaslighting. It's just pure gaslighting.
This is what it says. Who picked the new flag?
State Emblems Redesign Commission, tasked with choosing the new flag and seal, made its final selections this week, and the new design will debut next year. It follows 4 months of meetings, many spirited debates, and 2,500 submissions from the public sharing their ideas for the new symbols.
This is why they changed it. He said it was problematic.
Problematic. Oh, I love that term. Our current flag is problematic. I think we all know that. We've evolved into a more diverse state, and I think it's more reflective of that. Okay, what was the original flag? There's concern with the scene depicted on the old flag, which many found offensive. First adopted in 1957, the flag showed a white settler tilling land as an indigenous man rides horseback. Indigenous members of the State Emblem Redesign Commission said it was harmful to their communities and promoted the erasure of their people from the land.
What?
Well, can I see what it looks like? Show me the original, just get a photo of the original Minnesota flag.
They should make a new one that just has like a native person killing a white dude on it, just with a gun right to his head. Then said, "Don't tread on me" on it.
just one baldy hanging at the gallows, you know.
Okay, click on that. Let's see what it looked like.
So what you just said made me think of a good idea for a t-shirt design with like a bald eagle, and it says bald eagle at the bottom, but then the eagle's face is just Joe Rogan's face.
Yeah,
with the bald head. Wouldn't that be funny? The bald eagle, and then it's just a Joe Rogan head on an eagle. We should make those shirts, dude.
Sell out overnight. Put "Don't tread on me" on the back. You definitely will.
Come on, Chad. Tell us if you'd buy that design. We're gonna get so many people saying, "Give us the bald eagle shirt."
Okay. So there's a Native American on horseback. I see it though. And then there's a farmer tilling the land, a Native American on horseback.
Looks like shit.
Yeah.
Is that problematic because Native Americans didn't really ride horses? And
oh my God, Joe, they don't want to be immortalized as fucking people that were killed and massacred. Would you please have a soul?
Didn't really till the land? Like, I don't understand what.
There's a big controversy.
Oh yeah, dude, I don't understand why in Germany they don't have a big flag and it's the day that the fucking, the Nazi brigade came to town and it's just like, no, actually, we decided that was bad. We don't want to do that anymore. Yeah, well, it was still a huge part of history, and I imagine a lot of Minnesotans don't want to be reminded of it every day when they look at the flag at the courthouse.
See about that actually.
Yeah.
Whether or not how long horses have been in North America.
Well, horses originated in North America.
What?
Yeah, horses originated in North America, including zebras. All of them originated in North America. Then they were wiped out, and they had been introduced into Asia and Africa and all these other continents.
Can we get a fact check, Jamie? Were zebras invented in North America?
They're indigenous to North America. I've seen 5 or 6 on my, drive to work.
And then reintroduced back to America.
Right. I meant like
when people rode them.
To correct it.
Right.
So a lot of people are saying that First Nations people had horses for a lot longer.
Certainly possible. There's certainly different segments, different North American tribes that were much better, including right here where we are, the Comanche. Mm-hmm. The Comanche were notoriously good at raising horses, and it was part of how fierce they were. They had so many horses. And they rode them so well, and they could ride sideways and shoot arrows underneath the horse's neck. But I don't know why that's so problematic. You got to replace it with something that looks a whole lot like a Somali flag. Yeah. The idea it doesn't look like a Somali flag is kind of crazy. I mean, it does.
It does.
It certainly does. It's certainly the same color. Certainly also has a white star. It's just a different white star.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like,
that's like saying the American flag looks like the British flag because they both have stars and stripes on them. Like, you could say that about most flags, you fucking moron.
Oh, what about the Australian flag? Oh, yeah.
Flag doesn't bother me that much. If the people in Minnesota like
the Puerto Rican flag, the Filipino flag, I mean, we're splitting hairs once you get
it. Like, who cares? It's just a star and some colors. The real problem is when you hear discussions of things that are like openly Marxist philosophies, when you hear talk about equal outcomes and, you know, and not just equal opportunity, but that we all need to arrive at the same place, equal outcome talk. There's only one way they can do that, and it's by forcing you.
Well, it's by everyone having nothing.
Yeah.
That's the only way to have things totally equal. Because
Exactly.
you can't have everyone have everything. That's impossible.
Right. There's no way. There's not enough resources. And so
This is what rich dudes say to themselves so they don't feel bad about hogging the world's resources.
for equal distribution, that has to be enforced by law. So that has to be enforced by the government, and the government generally does not have equal. They have much more than you, and that's Fidel Castro in Cuba. That's North Korea. That's virtually every communist country that's ever existed. You have a military dictatorship that decides what you can and can't do with your time, and all under the guise of making it better for everyone. And that's exactly what they did to North Korea. When they took over people's farms, they said, we're going to take over the farm so that everybody has food. Yay, good. Now everyone...
First they change the flag, then they come for your farm.
Yeah, says the guy that moved to Texas so he didn't have to pay taxes on his $100 million Spotify deal.
starving,
Right.
and the government has all the food. And if you kill a cow, they'll kill you. Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts that people don't learn from history, and it's nuts that people who
How did they even get to this? Literally, they just segued from the flag into they're going to become a military communist dictatorship.
This is what Tim Walz is talking about, guys. When you hear the word Walz warrior, I want you to picture Che Guevara. Okay, I want you to in your mind Ho Chi Minh. Okay, he's coming for your resources, and if you eat a cow, they will kill you.
subscribe to this leftist ideology have this very distorted version of humans and how capitalism works and what's the benefits of it. I think there's a lot of parts of progressive ideology and philosophy that could be applied to society to make things better. I think if we funded more things the same way we fund the fire department, the police force, these are kind of socialist things, right?
That's literally what Tim Walz is running on, the guy you're trying to fearmonger and take a shit all on. Because at the end of the day, Gavin, they keep coming back to the fact that they think all of the material conditional upgrades are good ideas. They just can't get on board with giving people trans rights. That's it. And they're willing to sell every working class person down the river so they can continue to be hateful bigots towards the LGBTQ community.
Everybody gets access to the fire department.
Right.
It's a part of being in the community. We all pay for it. Education is that way, but it should be much more funded, right? It should be much more prestigious, much better trained teachers, a more esteemed position. I feel the same way about law enforcement. They should be much more respected, much better trained. We should put much more resources into that and have them be integral and a part of the community and for the safety of the community, not the bad guys who come in to pull you over because you rolled through a fucking stoplight, you know, that kind of shit.
Right.
And I think the problem is,
this is probably the worst political analysis I've ever heard in my entire life. And I've heard a lot, Gavin.
Yeah, I don't even know what he's talking about because he's basically just describing the exact brand of like quote unquote socialism that Tim Walz would represent. Yeah, like let's actually make government work for the people. Let's fund schools and fire departments and the sort of social services that obviously make society better. Like that's all he talks about. He's not talking about taking anyone's like business away from them. I've never heard Tim Walz talk about like socializing the podcasting industry or whatever Joe Rogan's worried about. Like, I don't know what you're freaking out about, dude. This guy is the governor of Minnesota. He's not like the freaking dictator of North Korea. Minnesota is a pretty normal state. I don't know if you've been there. I was there not that long ago in April. It seemed like I was still in America from what I could see out my window. You know what I'm saying?
They hadn't unveiled the voucher program where all you're allowed to eat is vegan Soylent.
Yeah, this is such a wild line of attack. He's just making things up about this guy who, like I said, is the governor of an American state. You can go there right now, check out how it looks, check out how it is. I think you're not going to find yourself in some sort of communist dictatorship.
Yeah, this is Rush Limbaugh level analysis.
these people that have this idea of equal outcome, this is the worst version of all these leftist ideologies. The worst version is open borders, everybody should have everything, and then equal distribution of it. And then what always comes with that is they unarm the citizens. And if they don't unarm the citizens, you can't get away with any of this stuff. But as soon as you have no one has guns other than the police, everybody is forced to comply. And if the army and the police are the only ones that get to tell you what to do, and they take orders from the government, and the government is a communist dictatorship, you're fucked. And that has never been more
So I like how he's brought it back around to the Second Amendment, Gavin. This is why he can't give up his gun.
Yeah.
evident than in all the versions of it that you can see in current world politics now, where a government has been taken over by a communist regime. It's always bad. It never turns out good. Not a single fucking time. People starve. It gets horrible. You know, there's just terrible government overreach.
Oh boy, that was painful to get through the home stretch, but we committed to what we lived. We came out the other side.